Hello, John Lord here from John Lord's Secret Garden, and we're going to mention salvias and fuchsias today because we're in the end of September and a lot of them are doing really well, and they're going to continue the season on right into November. But before we start that, I just happened to notice this geranium, and this is the great thing about gardening. This is just an ordinary bog standard bedding geranium, and what I like about it, the problem with a lot of geraniums is that you see this large flower cluster. Before the outer flowers come out, or rather before the outer flowers come out, the inner flowers have already faded. So you have to really remove the entire cluster because they fade badly, the inner ones. So there's basically no point in having such a big cluster. But this particular one, that doesn't seem to be happening. Now, I don't know why, and I don't even know the name of it, but what we are going to do is we're going to propagate that one because it's particularly good. And that's what gardening is about. You see something that you notice slightly different and you propagate from that. So gardening is about a sense of observation. Now here we look at fuchsias first, and that's supposedly a climbing fuchsia, but there really is no such thing as a climbing fuchsia. It's just got a very long internodes. That's the gaps between each node is called the internode, and so because it has these long internodes, it's traily, so it can be growing up something. And it's very nice Lady Boothby. And we have another fuchsia over here. Go by the potato flower. And that was planted about 2 months ago only. Look at the growth it's made. It was planted at about this height and it's made all that growth. That's the ordinary fuchsia that you see in hedgerows, and it's a great filler in plant. Now the problem with fuchsias is they do very little in the first part of the year, but they get better and better and better right into November, right into the first frost, and the first frost turns the leaves into mush. So that's fuchsias, but plants I would most likely talk about, leaving aside fuchsias and geraniums, would be salvias. Now salvias are very fashionable plants, and I actually wasn't going to talk about this stuff today, but we went around the garden and we just saw how good they were. This one is called Hot Lips, and it's very popular salvia, and rightly so. But what I've noticed about this salvia is at the end of the second year it develops a huge big root system, and it's very hard to keep water. So what we will have to do next year is we have to cut this back, remove it from its pot, get a spade and remove half of the root ball, completely half of the root ball, put fresh soil up to here because it's just getting too difficult to water. You see, I'd have to put a saucer underneath to try and hold onto the water. So there we have it, salvia regii, I think it's called, or jamensis. That's one type of salvia. Now we're going to look at another type over here, and this salvia here is called Love and Wishes. There's a similar one called Wendy's Wishes, and it flowered very well earlier on, and then it sort of had a pause, and now it's back off again, and you can see that there's lots of new growth, and once again that'll get us way until November. Now it's not actually one of my favorites, but a lot of other people like it. So when you're growing and selling plants, you can't just have your garden centre full of plants that you like. You have to get plants that other people like, and so it's very popular. But this is one over here which I particularly like. And that one is called Salvia Black and Blue, and what's particularly nice about it is it has these lovely black, I think they're bracts, called bracts, and counteracting the rich blue flowers. And you can see that there's a lot of time left in it. Now it's funny where it is. What happens is the wind comes down and whips around here, and it's made it a little bit fally over. It would have been better if it had been placed over there, but now we know for next year. Now in the winter time, this one is not 100% hardy, I think, so it's better in pots. and in the winter time you would, when it disappears or when it stops flowering, you would put it in a sheltered spot where it wouldn't get too much frost. And you never prune salvias hard in the autumn or in the winter. You always wait till it comes through the winter, until they come through the winter, and you wait till about April, and then you give it its hard prune. But if you prune it in the autumn or in the winter, you can actually kill the plant. That's important to remember. And our last salvia, we've one more salvia, and the great thing about salvias, there's so many different types of salvias, and they all have that same thing of flowering really late and pushing, and everybody wants the summer to go on forever. And we look at the last one over here, and this is our last salvia. Now, this is not as generally sold as an annual. Now, it will come back the following year, but it's not 100% reliable. There's loads more to go on it. Now we had it inside and we moved it out, and once again the wind caught it and whipped it around a bit, so it was put in the wrong spot. What's nice about this, what I particularly like, it has this gorgeous flowers, but it also has the stem. The stem is particularly nice as well, and that just gives that little bit of an edge. Now, the foliage is not brilliant, but I would say, let me see, I would put it on the salvia scale about at number 5, but it's still well worth having. That's Salvia farinacea.